We got a lot of answers now. We asked, what's one new thing you learned by watching the film? Did something in the movie surprise you? Or let us know if you feel differently now about anything after you watch the film. And what was that? And
Hope. Yes. All right. Let's do this panel. How to use impact storytelling events to fast track a gender equitable pandemic recovery. I will introduce you, Kim, in just a second. I just want to make sure everybody is aware that, yes, we are streaming live on Facebook. So if you have friends that are like, how do I get in? Send them over to our Facebook event. The recording will be available later at nfbpwc.org. So if you want to watch it again and catch something again, go for it. Closed captioning is still available. And if you have the option, go full screen, select speaker view so you can see us. Translation is available in French and Spanish right now. Q&A will be at the end. I see that a lot of you have questions coming in. Carmen Vincent is with us now. Can you type in the chat, Carmen, and say, hello, world? Carmen will be the person who is keeping track of all of our, there it is, of all of our questions, especially if you want to be anonymous. Maybe it's a question you're not comfortable asking, to the world. You can totally direct message her and she'll let us know. Again, if we don't get to all of the questions, we are available online, pioneersandskirts.com, nfbpwc.org. We are with you. And again, wait for the special announcement at the end. I'll use that voice. I'm going to stop share. Now, Kim, let me introduce you to Kim, our moderator. Thank you, Kim.
You're welcome.
She has an impressive 10-year record of creating, directing, teaching, and writing local and national productions, legislative events, and workshops. She's perfect. She's also an actress, writer, and painter. Meet Kim Sykes, Artistic Director of Girl Be Heard. Take it away.
Thank you, Ashley. That was lovely. I appreciate that very much. Hi, everybody. Welcome to CS65. And we're going to talk about that wonderful film we just saw, Pioneers in Skirts. And we're going to discuss with our panelists, artistic expression, media, social justice, ways to use those tools to ensure a more equitable world for women, people of color, and to make sure that we're all a big part in making change after this pandemic, because women have to be a big part of this change. As Ashley said, my name is Kim Sykes. So I'm the artistic director of Girl Be Heard. And at Girl Be Heard, we build leaders, change makers, and activists. And we do that by using socially conscious theater. You know, at Girl Be Heard, we feel like the best way to encourage a girl is through artistic expression. Art allows girls and young women to express their concerns about the communities locally and globally. Ashley's film, Pioneers in Skirts, is like a perfect example of that. And we tackle these injustices head on using film and media, and that's what we're here today to do. So I'm going to introduce you to our panelists. Of course, you know Ashley Maria and Lea-Ann Berst, the director and producer of Pioneers in Skirts. You've already met them. And they are still chipping away at Hollywood, chipping away at that systematic conscious and unconscious bias they find there. Good luck. I appreciate you. I think it's a hard but important job. Thank you for taking it on. We also have Musola Kaseketi. She is an internationally acclaimed director, writer, producer, and human rights activist in Zambia. Musola is the founder of, let me say it right, I hope so, check me out. Musola, but I think it's Vilole Images, and it's a nonprofit foundation that educates young Zambian filmmakers, and Musola also advocates to reform the lives of people with disabilities. I don't know when you sleep, girlfriend, sounds wonderful. Christina Lindstrom is head of impact measurement and assessment at SIE, the Social Impact Entertainment Society, where she works with organizations to create entertainment with a social impact in order to share the knowledge to change the world. Awesome work. And of course, last but not least, we have Relwende Kabore, who is a company member in my organization, Girl Be Heard. She's been a company member for several years. She's currently playing the judge in our upcoming main stage show titled The People versus Justice. And Relwende is also an honors student at Hostos Academy, and she plans to go back to her home country, Burkina Faso, and become president. And we are doing nothing but encouraging her to do so. So welcome, panelists. Is everyone there? Put your mics on so we can hear you.
Hello, I'm hearing
You're
you.
on.
Hi, everybody.
So
I'd like to start my first question for the director of Pioneers in Skirts, Ashley Maria. Ashley, the film was structured to inspire and offer solutions for change in Hollywood. First question I have is, obviously you made this film to make change. Why did you make this film? How is it part of the solution? How do you see it really changing minds?
Well, what we had to do initially, it was all about the research. So we had to figure out what exactly was stalling, or where was the information failing. The studies were there to prove things, the stories were there, but it didn't seem like it was connecting, because when we started this film, all I was hearing was Ashley just needs to work harder, or women aren't interested in these roles, or you know, we gotta figure it out. Women need to believe in themselves more, you know. And obviously Lea-Ann and I knew that was not true. So we did the research to figure out where the disconnect was, and then used the power of film and also the power of humor to help bring these, you know, whatever somebody, like, you play devil's advocate when you're making a film like this. What is somebody going to say that is going to counter what you're trying to prove? So we would think of, okay, if somebody's thinking, you know, women just don't work hard enough, well, we have to show some stories where women are constantly being told that. And they're like, no, look at what I've done. And then also we use stats, because sometimes, you know, often when we were, you know, we would do test screenings, tons of test screenings to make sure that the film was actually saying what we needed it to say. And there was a round where people thought Ashley was just complaining. And so we had to say, well, Ashley's not complaining, and 4% of the last 10 years of films were directed by women. So take her story and correlate that with this statistic. And that's why we did this. We made sure that the statistics were there, because that is one way for anyone listening. If you have people who are challenging you and saying that doesn't make any sense, you come to them with statistics. Sometimes logic is the way to actually get people to understand your point. And then you can—
Well, you know something, sorry to interrupt, but I thought one of the most important parts of your film was showing the patterns that women get into: the apologizing, the not asking, the waiting for someone to ask or to tell. I thought that was so interesting, because then we all saw ourselves in those portraits that you created. How did you find those patterns? Was it something that was a surprise to you, or did you know they existed?
I'd say it's a little bit of both. You know, when I started in my career, I had the ambition, I had the confidence, I had the belief in myself, but it was just constantly shoved in my face that I was a woman, that I was a woman director, that I was supposed to be either likable or competent, but not both, you know, we talk about. And so if anything, I noticed, like, I started filling those stereotypes without even realizing it. I would apologize so that people didn't see me as aggressive, because they kept calling me aggressive. Or I would be afraid to ask for money, because I was told it's hard for women to ask for money. And we put that in the film. I saw some people were like, thanks for being so vulnerable. I'm like, yes, it was terrifying to put that story in the film. I'm good with asking for money now, just so everybody.
That's good.
But it's like, we had to think, what is somebody going to say to counter and to negate what needs to happen to change? I know people would say, well, women just don't support each other. Well, let's show you a stat for why women have been taught to not support each other.
Well, I thought what was so wonderful was seeing you and your mother supporting each other. That, you know, that is a great way to start. I'm going to move on to Musola. Musola, you say you're bringing Pioneers in Skirts to Zambia, and this is a very important year for you to do that. So I'd like you to talk a little bit about that, why this year of all years is very important to do that.
Thank you very, very much. Why is it important for me to bring Pioneers to Zambia? First and foremost, the first time I set my eyes in Pioneers in Canada at Women's Deliver, I saw a number of things that were happening in my country through the movie. And then I also identified myself with what I had experienced after studying film and coming back home to be a film director. One, as a woman; two, as a woman with a disability; three, as a Black woman. So all those, and then looking at not just as a film director, when you look at Pioneers, they're talking about other issues. And this year, when I started thinking, when I approached Ashley and Annalie, to me, my heart was, for many, many years, I've used film as a tool for human rights advocacy. I've used film, and it's got very, very, very strong way to change, provoke debate, and it has worked in my country, especially when it comes to decision makers, to look at the issues and then say, can we address this? Because you really punch it on them. And when I saw Pioneers in Minskate, I said, oh, sorry, not in Minskate, I apologize. Pioneers in Skate, I said, Zambia, this year we're going for elections. It's a political year, we're having elections, and we've got very few women in parliament. And we've got, including women with disabilities. For the first time, we've got women with disabilities who wants to stand. And I thought, if this film can be used in my country and just to debate, discuss, and instill some, courage in some women, and also just push some people to look at the women that they also can be in leadership. And just like any other person, I felt this would be the first very good movie for me as a filmmaker who uses film as a tool for human rights advocacy and using it this year. And that's why we started discussing with Ashley and team to see how can we have this in Zambia. And that's one of the reasons why I really, really feel this film, it doesn't matter where it's coming from. The most important thing that I've seen is the issues that are in that movie, documentary, relate to what is happening in my country, in any other country. That's the beauty about film.
Yes, and I remember in our conversation earlier, we talked about if you see it, you can be it. And so we want to talk a little bit about how that is changing the women and girls in your area and people with disabilities.
Exactly. And when I look at Pioneers and relate to some of the work that I do, I've come to realize that when people watch, we're coming from a culture where sometimes, most of the times actually, the traditional belief, women are not supposed to talk, especially in rural settings. Women are just supposed to keep quiet, and there are certain places where you just allow men. But with the experience that I've had in using film as a tool for human rights advocacy in communities, in rural areas, people don't talk, but the moment they watch and they see the discussion, it provokes debate. So when they see, then they're intrigued, they're provoked, and they start discussing. And it's so nice. I'm looking at Pioneers where you see people who are not supposed to speak at the same level. For example, in tradition,
les personnes peuvent parler, les hommes et les femmes sont au même niveau, sont sur un pied d'égalité. Après avoir vu le film, cela arrive. Donc pour moi, quand on peut utiliser ce film, on peut discuter avec des femmes qui travaillent avec les ONG. Donc il y a un conseil de coordination des ONG pour les femmes.
Cannot discuss in any other platform because they have seen and they are intrigued and they have been given the power to address issues that
han recibido el poder de hablar de temas que no normalmente pueden mencionar. Muchas gracias.
I'm jumping to you. Relwende, as I said earlier, is a company member of Girl Be Heard. And Relwende, I know I work with you all the time. I have for several years. You've been a member of Girl Be Heard for several years. And you often say you want to go back to become president of Burkina Faso. So here's my question for you. How has art and activism, specifically Girl Be Heard, help you strengthen your artistic activism? And how will you use it to become president of Burkina Faso?
Well, activism in general helped me learn about the ways in which I can actually help fix my country, because through activism I've learned of all of these issues relating with social justice, and seen all these solutions that people have brought forth, and I'm planning to implement that in my when I do go back. And as for how I'm going to use that activism, I learned a lot about how media can influence the decisions of the public, how media affects people, because we often watch TV, we follow these celebrities and stuff. So the influence of media can actually help educate people about social justice work. So I plan to implement that in my work in the future.
Well, you do a lot of that already at Girl Be Heard in your writing. You often write about social justice issues, and then we create these characters and you put them on film. It's so fascinating. And so I want to show everyone your video that you made just recently. It's the first piece that you wrote that I saw you write. It's called To the Haters. Tell us a little bit about it before we show it.
Well, I wrote this piece when I was being bullied in middle school. Yeah, I was just tired of people bullying me for no reason, so I just decided to write it to them.
It's a wonderful piece. It made me stop in my tracks. And so I would love it if we could see To the Haters right now. So take it away. Thank you, Carmen.
Kabore, and I wrote this poem in middle school when I was being bullied. I write this to the haters, the discouragers, the non-believers. I write this for myself. Does my awesomeness discourage you? Does my beauty deceive you? Does my smarts intimidate you? Does my darkness scare you? My skin so dark holds the night sky as its twin. My eyes so black holds darkness in its very soul. And my hair so thick, look like the leaves on a tree. Does my beauty deceive you? Does it mesmerize you? Do you envy me? Do you hate me for my strangeness? Does it terrify you? Does my confidence confuse you? The way I speak without fear, the way I act without thought, the way I fight without end. Why do you hate me? Do you hate me for the way I look, for the place I came from, for the way I speak? Do you hate me for all the things that make me, me? The way I smile at your effort to hate, knowing that I am more than what you say I am, than what you think I am, knowing that I am who I choose to be.
Oh, Relwende, I love that piece.
Yes.
Yes. How old were you when you wrote that piece, Relwende?
12 or 13.
Yeah. Like oh my God. You know what? Burkina Faso's in trouble. You're coming back and you're going to make change. Thank you, Relwende. And of course, we have Christina Lindstrom. Hi, Christina. How are you?
Hi, I'm well. Sorry, I was just writing down lines from that poem, Relwende. That was, thank you for sharing that. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'll send it to you afterwards. I think.
Please, that would be great.
Absolutely, I will. So your work is fascinating, and I really do find it interesting. Hollywood works from the perspective of story first, impact second. And this is what I got from your website, which is fascinating. But can you explain the new approach that SIE is taking and give examples of how it's going to impact policy change?
Sure. So I cannot probably speak to how SIE specifically will try to impact policy shifting, but I can speak about how we're trying to encourage encourage producers, filmmakers, other folks that are interested in this space to do so. So SIE Society actually started at the PGA, the Producers Guild, because there were lots of producers and filmmakers and impact producers like myself that are interested in this space and needed a place to get together and talk and organize and collaborate. And SIE provides a forum for doing that. It also provides a forum for sharing experiences and best practices. So we talk through, what does it look like? We had a webinar, for example, what does it look like for a producer to work with the UN? How does that actually work logistically? Where are you allowed to take cameras, et cetera, et cetera? So there was a lot of interest. And I think the fact that our membership is now a few hundred just proves that there are filmmakers and people in entertainment that are interested in impact, despite the fact that it is definitively harder to pitch a project and get it made and get it sold that has an impact through line. That's why.
Why is that? Why is that?
I wish I knew. Maybe because there's an assumption. Again, I think Pioneers and Skirts did a great job of forcing us to kind of question the assumptions and the implicit biases that are norms and are completely normative, and yet we're not necessarily aware of them. So I thought the line, I can't remember who said it, Ashley, but a woman talking about making the implicit explicit. And I think that's what data really helps us do, is to identify those norms that we're working in and making them known, making them something that we can actually talk about. And that's what we try to do with our research. But SIE Society simply provides a platform and a gathering place to do that. So it was now, because of the interest and because of the things we wanted to be able, the founders wanted to be able to do with that forum, it's no longer part of the PGA, just because being part of the PGA required a certain membership. It restricted us in some way. So now it's its own organization. Anyone can join, anyone can participate in the webinars. All the information and research we have online is available for free. We try to have a well-stocked library of research too, so other filmmakers and producers can see what has been done before, so that we can use prior experiences to actually establish a set of best practices and just help one another collaborate. In terms of policy shifting, there's a number of us that have worked with entertainment that has very specific policy goals. And so again, I think SIE is helpful in that it just provides a forum. It provides an opportunity for you to reach out to other individuals that may have experience in that space and get some feedback.
And you're doing this through a global lens, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Oh, so that's very important. You also talk about new ways of distribution. Give us some examples of that. What are those new ways?
Yeah, so this is a phone call. I was planning on calling Ashley right after this to figure out, like, how can we further distribute this film? I think the big thing is just asking the questions. The way that the film industry has changed so significantly in the past 10 years in terms of distribution. The fact that you can now go to Vimeo and rent this film, for example, a lot of that was basically unheard of more than 10 years ago. Netflix and streaming platforms have completely changed the industry. Those platforms have a lot of power now, but I think also as a result of that power, when Netflix first came on the scene 15 years ago, I remember I was working at a production studio at the time. The folks that I was reporting into did not want to work with any streaming entities because it didn't have the gravitas that a theatrical distribution would have. That was the idea then, and we can all see how that is completely shifted and different now.
Yes.
But I think as a result of that shift, people in the industry as a whole are more open to innovative ways of getting content out there, using things like TikTok or Vimeo, using other ways of connecting with your audiences and understanding that different audiences are on different platforms and trying to have a plan for that. I think what's changed now is there's a lack of judgment around that about whether or not it's a worthy distribution platform that didn't exist before. I think now everybody knows that Instagram is a really powerful tool, and figuring out how to use tools like that does not necessarily hurt the product or the film. It actually makes it stronger.
Wow. And so here's a question for the entire panelist. You know, we'll go back to the film now, Pioneers in Skirts, where that wonderful moment where Norman Lear makes a confession, right? And he's talking about men's roles in conscious and unconscious biases. I thought that was so fascinating. What's your opinion, panelists, on what the roadblocks are in regards to making men part of this solution? And what do you think we need to do to help men cross over the line to see that we are an important part and a necessary part to change?
You know, I'm gonna jump in real quick and let you know that that was our #1 question in our film. We made the movie for a younger generation, but we knew that we could not get anybody to pay attention to our film if they didn't feel like they were a part of the solution. So we had to make sure our movie spoke to men and did not make them feel like we were pointing a finger at them and blaming them. So that's my first answer to you, is we always talk about women need to feel welcome at the table, but we need to make men feel welcome at the table as well. They want to be there. They want to do something. Most of them don't know what to do. So we need to make them feel welcome and not make them feel like they're the problem.
Anyone else? Our panelists? Ashley, I know you have something to say.
Musola jumping in too.
Oh, I didn't see you, Musola. Sorry. Musola, take it away.
Okay, thank you. One of the things that I always think about is to start from the grassroots, from the ground. I think, especially coming from Africa, there are certain cultures that allow, when boys are growing, the way they are treated between a girl and a boy makes them start thinking they're more superior than a girl. So if we can start by going back to the drawing board, and when we are educating in any way, any level, we take boys to carry on with girls at the same level. So that boys, as they're going to become, kids as they're going to become boys, men, they've already embraced the equality that we are talking about, the equity. We are saying this, we are on the same level, so that they start looking at a woman in a different way. But as long as we keep that where we feel boys, even in class, wherever we are, they are better than girls, that will be very difficult. What we've done, especially in our organization, Women Just Production against the rest of Zambia, when we have these trainings, anything, we bring both boys and girls so that we get their opinions, and we get, when we have an issue, they all discuss on the same level. And so that when you go out in the community, they are speaking the same level, and boys start defending and supporting the women or the girls. So that's where we are going to have that strength, where if support comes from the male, then we are good. But if we just leave them out, then we still have the same problem. So we really need to start from the ground, go back to the grassroots and carry them together. It's not too late. May have past stages, but this is also time to campaign that boys and girls, let's go together. That's the same thing we are doing as we are campaigning or talking about political participation. We've carried the boys, the girls, the men, the women, and the persons with disability to be discussing on the same level, so that now people without disability, they speak on behalf of female and people with disabilities. Thank you.
Absolutely. Get them while they're young. That's the way to make change. If they see it, they can be it. Yes, Ashley.
So thank you. This is, Christina. Okay. I'm going to say two things. Lead with good intent, assume good intent. There is going to be extra energy women have to educate the men in their lives, especially if they did not listen to Musola and have these lessons from the beginning. And then, you know, both women and men get to change and get to decide that this is important. So by choosing your allies in the room, that's something that I do. I'm often on set with all men. And if I can tell that someone's not paying attention to me, I don't know if it's because my role or because I'm a woman, I find who's my ally in the room and I say, listen, I need your help. And I'm very frank and I'm very honest. And I say, this person's not respecting me right now and I need you to be my ally. I need you to say something like Brad does in the movie. That's one thing that women can do to bring men in, is to just have a side conversation. This is not going to be good. And I don't think this person realizes that they're being counterproductive.
Christina, you wanted to say something.
Yeah, you know, I keep going. I agree so much with everything that's been said, and particularly in terms of starting young. This is something I have a young son, and so this is something that I think about a lot, and that my husband and I talk about a lot in terms of allowing that son to be emotional, allowing him to be able to talk and support, and these things that, for whatever reason, are characteristically thought of as female skills, also playing a role at home. This is one thing that I always go back to Gloria Steinem's quote: women cannot be equal outside the home until men are equal inside the home. So just making sure that we are equally supporting one another at home and outside the home. I think that is really important. And I think it's so important to see that in film as well, to see portrayals of men actually taking care of their own kids. I loved the fact that in Pioneers in Skirts, you included that clip of the man on the conference call with his kids wandering in. I love that. I thought that I have seen that clip many times. I adore it. I think it's important for us to see that portrayed in media, that just because a man is taking care of his own kids, he's not a babysitter, he is a father. And what does that look like? I think we need to see more of that. So yeah, I think there's support that happens in both places, at home and outside the home.
Wonderful. And so Ashley, wrap up for us. Talk to us about Pioneers and where you hope it goes, the impact, and tell us about what you're going to be doing next.
Well, Lea-Ann, she is spearheading our impact right now. We are making sure we go around the globe, bring these conversations to as many people as possible, make it as inclusive as possible. So the film right now is translated in all of the United Nations languages, and that was so important to us. Lea-Ann, is there anything you want to jump in with?
Sure. I want to, and I'm looking at you, Christina. Because, you know, what we're trying to do is get the movie seen, right? Everybody who makes a film is trying to get their film seen. This is a social impact film. So if anybody here is saying, you know, how do I see this again? How do I get the dads in my life to see it? How do I get the kids in my life to see it? We have ways to do that. And so it's all on our website, pioneersandskirts.com. We do have a sales agent who is trying to get it on public television and broadcast all over the world as we go around the world in sync with this impact relay that we're about to talk about. It's a whole program that we've put together to allow advocates and NGOs take the movie and use it to advance their mission. So it's a very big program that we have going on. And we're going to talk about that, I guess, in a minute. But right now, we're very excited. We're showing the movie heavily in corporate. Corporations love the movie because, well, first of all, we don't have bad language, right? Mm-hmm. And we aren't pointing fingers at anybody in the room. We're saying we're all the issue and we are all the solution. So we see a lot for the future. In the next several years, we're going to be taking the movie anywhere anybody wants to have it.
Wonderful. So Musola, would you like to talk a little bit about, am I saying the right, the name Vilole, your organization that is working to make more films in Zambia, filmmakers in Zambia?
Thank you. Vilole. Vilole means view images.
Yes,
view images.
Thank you.
Vilole Images Productions is a production house that first and foremost was founded in 2003 to help young filmmakers or young people, aspiring filmmakers, to be trained for free. Because when I came back from school, I realized that there was no film school, and I was the first female to go to a film school in South Africa. Then I realized it was very challenging for me to go there. So I needed to create a platform where I can train young people for free. And I worked for the first soap, Kabanana, as a director. I realized I couldn't take students for free on somebody's production house. So we founded Vilole in 2003 to start doing that. We trained a number of people who are doing stuff. And then, because from my background, theater, I used a lot of theater as a tool for human rights advocacy to address issues, gender-based violence, disability, street kids, and so on and so forth. So that was also one of the platforms. So we started now training young filmmakers so that they can make film for social change or justice or anything to do with human rights. That was the main purpose. In 2011, when we came to CEDAW and presented on the elimination of all forms of discrimination, I realized that women with disabilities were not included in the CEDAW Convention at the UN. So that's why we found now a program which is called Women and Girls Disability Rights of Zambia. There now we address issues on women, anything to do with rights, training government officials, people from different levels, let me just make it short, so that they use film as a tool for human rights advocacy and address mostly women issues, gender, to really impact on changes on gender. And through this way, we've seen a lot of things happen. We have the Act for Anti-Gender-Based Violence Act. We talked with the Minister of Gender. She said, we left out one thing. We didn't talk about women with disability, which was, film brings that. We made a film, and she spoke on a documentary to say that. So just to cut the long story short, because I can talk on and on and on, the reason why we made Raw Images Production and Women with Disability Rights of Zambia is exactly what I have seen in Pioneers, is do something to impact women so they become decision makers, participate in politics, participate wherever they have to participate, where they have a talent, where they feel their heart wants to be. No one should exclude them. Women with disability in Zambia are very, very excluded. So we also feel through the power of film, through Vilole Images Productions, we've been doing a lot of this around the country, and we have been working to ensure that women with disability, working with partners, they feel they have the right, they have the power, they can do it just like any other person. Right now we are doing a documentary. I watch Pioneers many times and I think we need a Zambian Pioneers. After we've shown Pioneers, the Zambian Pioneers, we're doing a documentary for the first time because we've got the first woman who's deaf and she wants to start in parliament as an MP. So we're doing a documentary, we're talking about these issues, persons, women with disability getting into politics. So that is why Vilole was founded. And then the film festival, which is also under Vilole, was to bring movies like Pioneers. And that's why this year, end of July, August, we want to have Pioneers so that we can address this during the festival as the main film and discuss issues of women in power. Women are equal, just like any other person. No one should look at a woman like she's nothing, and that is very common. And I like Pioneers because it makes me see what happens every day, where you feel you want to ask. Thank you, Ashley. I've gone through that. I want to be polite. And thank you for somebody to say, you're not supposed to beg, just say, this is what I want. So it's a very powerful film. And Vilole wants to use that film to see how we can also try and advance, things that are related to women and gender in Zambia and impact lives in this country. Thank you very much.
So to wrap up, I want to say I so admire your organization. It reminds me a lot of our organization here in New York, Girls Be Heard. Girl Be Heard. I keep saying Girls Be Heard. Girl Be Heard. And as I said earlier, we work with girls to help them write, perform, and film now because of this pandemic, social justice issues that are important to them. And so all I can say to everyone out there, if you have a cell phone, you can make a film. That the first thing you should do is make it, not worry about who's going to see it first, but make it. One of the, if you want to say good things about the pandemic, because there's probably none, but the positive thing is probably a better word to say, is that we went from live theater to making movies. And our participants used their phones in their bedrooms to record themselves, and they wrote their own pieces, they recorded, they taught themselves about lighting, they taught themselves about makeup, costume, and they wrote performances for the last year. And they are actually in many ways better than the stuff we did on stage live. Why? Because we had more eyeballs that saw the work, but also it made them be more involved in creating this. This is the beauty of film in my mind. You're not only performing it, but you're also creating it. You're making the movie. And that's very exciting. It's an exciting thing for a young girl to have that power, because that is powerful. It's why those who have it don't want to give it up. It is a powerful thing to have and make a movie and a film, because it does change minds. So saying that, I just want to thank everyone here, the panelists. You've been amazing. You've given women and girls, non-gender conforming youth all over the world, and men, something to think about, to make change about. Pioneers in Skirts is a wonderful film. Pass it on to everyone you know. I think we're on the precipice of making some serious change in the world, and women are going to do it. So thank you, Ashley. Thank you, Lea-Ann. Thank you for having us here today.
Thank you so much, Kim. Can I jump in and we do the lightning round real fast? Is everyone ready for their lightning round? Okay. Because we are here to talk about how to have impactful storytelling events, I'm encouraging everyone to get your pencils or pens or typing hands ready. What is one piece of advice that you would give an NGO, a filmmaker, to make sure that they are having an impact with their project, with their event? Christina, do you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. Sorry, I was just about to type it in. Yeah, I would say have a strategy, have an idea of what impact you want to have, and then ask the question afterwards, what happened? Did it work? What worked? What didn't work?
Musola, do you have? Unmute.
Just your question again, quickly.
What is one thing that you would recommend to an NGO like you to do it for their event to make sure it's impactful?
I think first and foremost, once you know your target, make sure your target is very involved. They see you as a partner, and then find out what is their need. The ones that you're going to use the media as it's a tool. Find out what is their need, and then as partners, address the issues together. That's what I would encourage them. Because if you go on your own, they'll just sit back and say, okay, what is this person talking about? But if they become partners, then you know that you're on the same boat. Thank you.
I love it. And then Girl Be Heard, Kim or Relwende?
Yeah, well, both of us can add to that. I'll go first, or Relwende, you go first, go.
You're talking about how to engage an audience. Well, for like, I think that if you want to actually make an impact with the film, you have to target like the people that you disagree with, because that's the best way to make change, to change their opinion. If all you're doing is just teaching the people that already know, then you're not gonna really make a change, and that's something that we struggle with. We have to find a way to actually encourage these people that have no interest, that have no knowledge about it, to actually engage in the conversation.
Wow. Thank you, Relwende. That was brilliant. I would say that it's a phone, YouTube, and make your movie about something you really care about. That's it.
I love it. Lea-Ann?
Yeah, you know, when what we're doing today is a good example. We're trying to have a meaningful conversation about a topic. As Relwende said, you know, try and speak to everybody, especially those that may not agree with you. But we've mentioned before, lead with good and, you know, thinking of good intent. We're not attacking people. But after the event, you have to follow up. Right now, we have great conversation in chat. We have to do this during the pandemic. So let's have it in chat, but we can't answer every question here. So afterwards, Ashley and I are planning to follow up and answer those questions in blog posts and online interviews that we're going to post. So again, my point is that meaningful conversation and that most important follow-up.
And I will say this has been a vulnerable time for me, because making the film was very much self-analyzing, self-evaluating. Am I good enough? Is my story worth it? You know, and I have to share that every time I do these panels, and it's kind of like being vulnerable, sharing the insecurities I had when I started making the film. It helps people understand that they're not alone and that their insecurities are not wrong. and that there is something more in play. So if you are like Relwende, she's going out there and she's vulnerable and she's showing everything she's got. And it's really healing for me. Relwende, you know, I'm imagining it probably is for you too. And yeah, just making it a fun experience and being honest is something that's been really powerful for us. All right, I am ready to show you guys our big surprise. And again, we will answer questions offline. So I'm sorry we can't get to them right now, but please put them in the chat. Lea-Ann?
Okay, again, we'd like to thank our host, who is the National Federation of Business and Professional Women's Clubs. This organization is an advocacy group for working women. The U.S. Group has been around since 1919. They're one of the very first women's advocacy groups. Thank you for advocating for us today. I'd like you to go to their website, nfbpwc.org, and you click on that icon. And if you can see my cursor, if you can't, just click on this image on the homepage, and that will take you to a bunch of great things. First of all, tomorrow, you know, when we go to these events, wouldn't it be nice to be able to network just like we normally do? Bring your cup of coffee or your glass of wine tomorrow night at 7:30 Eastern time, and network with all of us here. We're going to be there. A lot of the women from the BPW organization. We're going to talk about the environment and sustainability, but we're also talk about what's going on now. So come there and join us to network. The organization also put together a training program, a leadership in uncertain times, specifically for everybody here. And they're inviting you, they're giving you a password, the CSW65 password, to come in and be part of that for free, creating gender equity during a COVID recovery. It starts April 7th and it's a module of classes. So go check that out and read about it.
All right, drum roll, please, for everyone with us. Here's our big news.
Yay. So here's our good news. We are launching an impact relay, and it's launching today. Right now, if you go to our website, pioneersandskirts.com, and click on the impact relay button underneath events, we are offering the movie for free to any NGO or activist in the entire world. All you got to do is fill out the application form. There's instructions on how to do that. You also can read to see if you are eligible, and you know, it's a secret here. Most people are. And what we're doing is we're offering the movie for free. We will host it on your behalf. So we're going to be involved. So if we do it online, we will host it on Zoom. We will play it for your audience, and we will stick around to talk to your audience afterwards. If you want to do it in person, we will show up over Zoom or other online tool after you screen the film so that we can talk to your audience, unless somehow we can get there, like in Zambia, Musola, we want to go there. So we would like you to get involved with the Impact Relay. We are excited about it. We're excited to launch it. We plan on having this relay happen the rest of 2021 and into 2022.
So if you head to nfbpwc.org, you're going to see this very familiar icon that you've seen throughout our promotions for this event. And that's how you're going to get all of this information. It's very important to us that you feel empowered. Use Pioneers in Skirts to push your mission forward. This is what we want. This is what we need. We know it is engaging audiences. We know it's like getting people into those tough conversations, and we're so proud. And I'm ready. I see everyone going, all right, going to the website. Let's go. All right. I look forward to seeing you all online. See you tomorrow if you'd like to join us for our networking session with BPW. Again, thank you everyone, all the panelists, for being here. Is there any final words, anything that you're excited to take away from here today?
Well,
know.
I will say that I've shown Pioneers in Skirts to my family, some young women in my family, to the girls in our company at Girl Be Heard, and I've heard nothing but very good things about it. Very encouraging. They felt encouraged. They thought these were conversations that were important to have, and we're going to continue to have them at Girl Be Heard. So thank you so much, Lea-Ann, and also Ashley for making this film.
We're so happy we know you, Kim. I want to be friends forever. And Relwende and Christina and Musola, I'm so honored you all are here. Thank you everyone who joined us today. And I can't see in the chat if anybody else has something they'd like to share, just unmute and start talking. But you know, we're ready, and no, you don't have to apply today. I saw some people go, wait, do I have to do it right now? You give yourself a minute, you can think about it. Don't worry, don't worry.
Yep, the guidelines are online, but basically it's an open rolling program, so we're not giving deadlines. We have a purpose, don't we? We want it seen. Okay, thank you, everybody. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Global
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.